What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Jake here at Nerd Level Rising. Today I have a completely non-book related video, and this is just me fanboying and expressing my love for Yu-Gi-Oh! And everything that it has done for my life, and honestly how it has spanned like 4 different realms of entertainment for me. I mean, this has really been such a big thing for me. So I don't know, I just want to talk about it, right? I love it so much. So let's go all the way back to when I was a kid. And I don't remember exactly when it came out. I could Google the release date. I don't remember when it was. But I remember vividly seeing the pilot episode for the anime on TV. I was sitting in my kitchen at my mom and dad's house. I brought over this we had like an island in the middle of the kitchen where we would sit and eat dinner, and we had these tall chairs, and I dragged this chair over to the corner of the kitchen where we had this little baby TV up in the corner. And this is the late 90s, early 2000s, right? So people didn't just have these 30, 40, 50 inch screen TVs everywhere, right? But anyways, so I drugged this chair over and sat there and just stared at. I was just locked in, right? I don't know what it was, but I remember seeing commercials for it, leading up to the release, and I was just like, this seems awesome. I was just so locked in. And so time finally came for the pilot to air, and I was so ready. And I remember that moment so vivid, and it was so long ago, man, but I remember it like it was yesterday, and it was just like that, like something just changed, right? I was like, this is my thing, right? And I remember from that point on, I was just so obsessed. I was obsessed with it. I really was. So from there, I watched the TV show religiously. I would wake up early on Saturday mornings to go watch it on Kids WB. I would wake up before anyone else in my house did, and I would go out, and we had one of those, it's this old TV, right? It has the dial and the antenna, and you'd have to get it just right so it's not fuzzy, and so I mess with that and try to get the reception good enough to where I could enjoy the episode. And it was so fun, man. It was just so pure and so fun. And I would get the cards after that, right? This is sort of the second thing. This is when this started. This is the beginning of the card game being a thing here in the States. It wasn't like it is now, okay? We would get there. They would sell these little grab bags where you would just get these, a handful of random cards, and we would get those every once in a while for a little bit, and then they came out with these structure decks that actually had a rule book and a game playing mat and this 50 card deck. And it was themed off of the main character, Yugi and Kaiba, right? So my brother was watching it also, and he was into it. And so, I got the Yugi one, he got the Kaiba one, because I was a Yugi fanboy from day one, and Dark Magician fanboy from day one, especially. And so, I had that original, like the first thing that they made. I had it. And we played the card game a lot. We didn't know how to play, right? We were really little. So we sort of played by the rules, but not really. Sort of like the first season of the anime, right? We kind of did that, where you kind of play by the rules, but, there's, rules are made to be broken to an extent there. And so, we're doing that. We're watching the show. We're just having a good time. And then it just keeps evolving. The card game keeps evolving. We start getting, I don't know if you can see them in the frame or not, but I have a bunch of tins. Like I had they would release these tins that had some packs of cards and usually a special edition of some card that was in there. And so I started getting all those, and my brother and I would just play all the time. And what was funny is I won almost every time, and he hated it, man. He hated it. And then eventually he beat me, and he started to enjoy it more after that. And this actually is a special memory for me on that front too, is that, we're kids, right? We're little kids, and we're going. And I also very distinctly remember this was before he had beaten me and before he actually enjoyed it. And but there was a day where I was kind of struggling. I've had, up and down, some depression stuff my whole life, right? And so there was a day I was really struggling, and he came up and he asked me he was like, "Do you want a duel?" And that's what they say in the show, right? Challenge you to a duel. That's what we always called it, playing Yu-Gi-Oh. And it meant so much to me, man. And because he didn't like it, he was doing it just to make me feel better. And like that's a special memory to me too, But anyway, so, and we just me and him just played the card game so much. It was such a huge bonding thing for my brother and I growing up. And we played with a friend here and there, but it was super rare. 99% of playing was just me and him. And they'd put out new sets of the cards and we'd go get some. And my birthdays and Christmases for so long, man, was just my parents would be like, okay, here's a little bit of money that we can either get you a gift or you can spend it however you want. What do you want to do? Every single time I'd be like, I want to spend it. And I would go onto this website and I would literally spend all year looking through all the different single cards and reading exactly what they do and figuring out, okay, well, that's how I could use that this way, and I could build a deck around this, and I could do that, and I can add this card to it, and it makes this great combo, and and I would spend all year agonizing over that, and then I would buy just single cards for Christmases and birthdays and stuff, and I still have all my cards with me. They're down here, right? I got binders full, and my brother and I we would just play all the time, and we would do like tournaments. Like we would each make like 4 or 8 decks, and we would set up like a tournament bracket, and we would duel each other with each thing, and we'd see what happened. And like it was just, man, I can't put into words how much fun we had doing that. And obviously, you get older, you get busier, you play less and less gradually as time goes on and stuff. And it's been a long time now since I've played. But so much fun. And this whole time we're watching the TV show, and they wind up season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5, and just the whole way through was just, man, it was so fun. I was that kid. I remember in 6th grade, I was the kid who I wore a Yu-Gi-Oh shirt every day. I had like 5 different shirts, and I just wore them. Every single day I had a Yu-Gi-Oh shirt on. And I was that obsessed person, so much so we even got the offshoot game. So if anyone remembers the show, right at the end of season 1, we had this little section called Dungeon Dice Monsters that was a variation of the card game that was in the show that was just awesome. It's sort of like it's kind of like a D&D Magic the Gathering hybrid, sort of, right? Like Yu-Gi-Oh took a lot from Magic, right? So it's sort of like this hybrid that they tried to make for the show that was so fun and so cool, and they actually made a physical version of the game. If you Google it, I'm sure you find pictures of it at least. But I had that. For the life of me, I have no idea what happened to it. Maybe it's at my parents' house somewhere or something. I don't know. But we had that. We played that. That was really fun. And so like we did it all, man. We really did. And as we were growing up too, I started reading the manga. Like I didn't even realize that it was manga. I just thought it was like a comic. It was just something, right? It was over both the magazines and whatever at Kroger, where we would go get groceries. And I remember begging my parents whenever I saw a new issue of it to buy it for me, and they didn't always, but they tried their best to, right, to try to keep up with it. And so reading like the big Shonen Jump magazine and doing all that, and I just had so much fun reading. I have some of the manga here, not very much, but because I also, as a kid, as kids do, I had on my wall, I would cut out pictures from magazines and stuff and like tape them on the wall. So I had like this collage of, I was a big NBA fan, I still am, but I had like a bunch that was just all these basketball players that I really liked and whatever. But I also did it with the Shonen Jump magazine. So I had a bunch of stuff from those manga just cut out. So I just mangled all of those. So now I want to I have the first 6 volumes here now, but I want to buy the rest of them and go back and reread it at some point because that'd be so fun. Because if anyone who's read the manga, it's not that much like the show, especially early on. It's way darker than the TV show at the beginning, and so. But yeah, I definitely do want to collect the rest of that and reread it for sure. But the manga was so fun. We got into video games. I never had a Game Boy or anything growing up, so I didn't have those. But I did have a GameCube someday, and they did put out a GameCube game. I think it was, I wrote it down so I don't forget. Falsebound Kingdom, that's what it was. And so I remember playing that, and it's different from the card game, so it wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but it was still fun. We had a PC game back in the day. Oh man, this was like old school PC games, man, where you get the big CD that you'd have to put into the computer every time you played it. And they had a Yugi one and a Kaiba one. And I think they might have had a couple more. I don't remember, but we had the Kaiba one. I remember that. But that was super fun. We played that so much, but I never, I was never able to play any of those OG games other than those. And then in recent years, on my computer, I got like Legacy of the Duelist. I tried Duel Links. It just, I don't know, wasn't super crazy about that. Master Duel, super fun. And, what's kind of turned me off a little bit of some of these newer games is I do really enjoy the mechanics of some of these newer card types, right? Like you have the OG game. It's pretty simple, straightforward. You get into like fusion stuff and ritual stuff. Okay, cool, straightforward, right? Fine. Then we get into synchro summoning, and we get Xyz summoning, and then we get link summoning and pendulums. Like there's just all these different things that I like it. It's cool, but the cards have become so powerful that, if you play competitive with somebody, or you play some of these online games, now, that you can win in one turn, or like the turns are just massive. It's just these long chains of effects that it lost some of the magic to me. I love the original style where it's like a chess game. It's like, it's slow. It's all about, I did this, my opponent did this. Okay, based on what they're doing, I'm anticipating that they might do this sort of thing. I have this strategy. Oh, I might need to shift it based on what they're doing. It's like you're playing chess. You're trying to stay a move or two ahead of your, that's what I loved, man. That critical thinking, all of that, rather than just how can I quickly mine my deck for this perfect combo that'll just rattle through and make me win in turn number 2. That's just not for me. I'm the same way with Magic, right? Which is why I would not be a very good competitive player. But nonetheless, I digress. So on that note, when I saw, and this is part of the inspiration for this video, they are putting out a collection of these old school games. They're putting it out on the Switch, but also on Steam. So myself, who doesn't have a Switch, when I saw it was on Steam, I was like, yes, I gotta get that, right? I gotta get it. There's got to be a dozen or more of these old like Game Boy games, and they have Dungeon Dice Monsters on there. I'm so excited to play, and so I can't wait for that and to play that group of another bunch of video games I don't have the time to play, but I'll still buy nonetheless and try to squeeze in time. But yeah, man, it's amazing to think back on how long I've been into this and what the journey has been like, from the anime to the card game to the manga to the video games. Like there's been so much, and it's at the end of the day, the anime and the manga, like it's great, right? There's so much about friendship, and it's not geared towards adults for the most part, right? Like especially the anime, especially the 4Kids dub of the anime. There's a lot just about friendship and that purity and sticking up for each other and being there when your friends need it, and growing up and learning how to stand up for yourself and things like there's so much about that as a kid watching that meant a lot. I learned a lot from that, right? You get that. There's so much about Egypt. Like I love Egyptian mythology because of Yu-Gi-Oh! It really started that for me, and seeing how they brought in all of that, all the lore, the gods, the everything, and where the story eventually goes. Like you get really deep into that stuff, all that like ancient Egyptian flair that I really love. So you get all that stuff. It's great. The manga is certainly darker, and there's a lot of things going on. But at the end of the day, to me, what Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always been about, and what the memory is and why it's so special, is because of how it helped me and my brother bond for so long growing up through that. It really, really was a very special thing. And, the older you get, you never really realize, someday you're going to duel your brother for the last time, right? And you don't realize that until well past that date. And so it's sad, but it's also like those memories are so great. And it also makes me think, man, I got to see if I can convince him to get back into it. I don't know if he's got the time or the space or the desire to try it again, but I'm like, I might have to see if we can, we live on opposite ends of the country right now, so we'd have to do it online and all this kind of stuff, but I'm sure we could figure it out. But yeah, it was just such a special memory, and anyway, that's what it means to me, man. I just wanted to talk about that, and I know that I'm not the only one who has a special experience like that with a game or a TV show or whatever. I know a lot of people have that with Pokemon, and how the games and the anime and the card game and everything, how that's transcended generations. You know, they're sharing that with their kids now and stuff, right? So that's speaking of Pokemon, I have a bunch of those original card sets too. I remember getting the packs of like the original base set, right? So dating myself a little bit, but hey, it was a special time. But anyway, that was Yu-Gi-Oh to me. There you go. So talk to me in the comments about how much you love Yu-Gi-Oh, man. I don't want to see no hate at all. No, if you don't like it, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I imagine you haven't watched this video if you don't like it at least a little bit. So like button if you like the video, whatever. Talk to me in the comments about it. What has this meant to you? Have you been into this? Whatever. Have you watched the anime? You still have your cards? You know, blah, blah, blah. If you like the video, you like the channel, consider subscribing. I love seeing the community grow. Other than that, I'm looking forward to talking to you guys, as always, in the comments. Man, there's so much fun stuff on the horizon here on this channel, and also just collaborating with other people, and not related to Yu-Gi-Oh, but, well, maybe, right? Maybe somebody will comment and we'll be like, hey, man, let's get a discussion together and talk about it or something. That could be fun. But there's just so much fun stuff coming up ahead here as we continue moving through 2025. 2024 was like the beginning of my channel, right? Like, I started in the middle of August, I think. So the end of 2024 was the inception, and 2025 to me is like, this is expansion and making friends and really just having a grand old time with YouTube. So thanks for being on this journey with me. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you next time.